It takes time for newcomers to Canada to fully adapt and acculturate to their new home. The feelings of excitement and the anticipation of what lies ahead for new immigrant families is sometimes overshadowed by feelings of loss, confusion, and experiences of discrimination. Although not all families have the same experiences and same feelings, each person must adjust to this new culture. The immigrant family's experiences and process of adjustment are often aided if the individuals they encounter show cultural sensitivity and awareness.
क्योंकि कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा होता है उस वक्त जो है कुछ क्योंकि काफ़ी डिफरेंस है हमारे मज़हब पाकिस्तान के इसमें और कनाडा के यहाँ के रहने सहने में और तौर तरीक़े में और इसमें काफ़ी मतलब डिफरेंस है जिसकी वजह से मुश्किल तो होती है कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा होता है कि किधर आ गए.
Another Somali parent used knowledge of language as key to a parent's acceptance by the school.
Okay, qofka markuu horta afka ku hadlayo Englishka aqoonna leeyahay xoogaa yar waxaad dareemi kartaa respect in lagu siinayo iskuulka markaad tagtid sababtoo waxaad taqaanaa sharcigii iyo caadadii iyo dhaqankii iyo sources badan baa haysataa marka macallinkii level of educationkii waa isla egyahay marka waa la hadli kartaa wax isfahamsiin kartaa laakiin markuu qofka afka aqoonno kale ama systemka aqoon u lahayn waxa loo midabkeena madow u wato ilmahaas ama waalidkaas qiimo ma ka yeelanaya iskuulkii sababtoo waxa waa dhowr jeer baan iskuulaadka waalid ku raacay xataa aniga markaan hadlaayo ama meesha tagaayo waxay ku xiran tahay qofkaas macallinka ah hor istaagis marka uu ku arko inaa aqoon leedahayna waa kaa xishoonaya ixtiraam buu ku tusayaa laakiin marka ku arko inaa aqoon lahayn wuxuu rabaa inuu ninkaas sare iska dhigo inaha marka adiga madow baa taa laakiin waxaan rumaysanahay ama madow ahow ama caddaan ahow nin u dhashay inuu gaangis noqdo ama baab'o ma jirto ama qaxood ahow kulli waddanka waa loo wada sameyn yahay opportunity waddan leh oo horumar loo soo galana wuu yahay laakiin midabka aad wadatid iyo luqada aad ku hadlaysid iyo culture ka u labisan tahay dhibaato weyn way gaarsiinaysaa noloshaada horumartaa soo dad badan oo madow ah laga soo horeeyay ama hadda jooga waa ku baabayeen waddanka because waxa waaye madowga laga soo horeeyay xataa iskuulaadka markaa dad kulli waa wada caddaan hal madow arkaysa maxaa baabi'iyay marka qaxootiina ma kuma soo gelin ama ku soo galaan isleef ku soo galaan laakiin dhibaatada ku dhacday baa anakeena naqbista Soomaaliya hadaan nahay.
While knowing the language is a powerful tool for newcomer parents, the school's ability to welcome the parents is also valuable in attempting to integrate parents into their child's schooling.
Because kuma soo dhaweynayaan haduuna macalinka ama principalka ama uu ku soo dhaweynin xiriirka waxa taqaanid ba aqoon marka timaada dagaal uma iimaanayso waxarta qof aad la communicate hadii qof aad la communicate gareyn kartid ay meeshii joogin ani adiga hadda isku luqadan ku hadalna hadaa rabin inaa ila hadashid ma wada hadli karnaba communication ma iimaanay marka sida macallimiinta ay u soo dhaweeyaan marka qaarna macallimiin waxa jiro waalidiinta aad u riixa markay arkaan saa u libisan tahay just iska qiyaasaya inaad luqadii aqoonin kuwa badan waxaa arkeen oo la shaqeeya oo tagay shaqo in iska qiyaasaan markay arkaan maradan xirana inaanan luqad ku hadlin luqad kor iyo ku qaadan kasan tahay oo ku fahmaya istartiib markay arkaan inaa wixii fahmaysid marka ay gadaalkaaga degaan marka sida ku soo dhaweeyaan ku xiran tahay.
Some parents may feel marginalized and helpless because of their low income status. They might have concerns that their children are experiencing discrimination based on the neighborhoods where they live. Parents are fearful that their socioeconomic status may result in their child receiving an inferior education compared to children living in middle to high income neighborhoods.
I don't know, maybe a lot of my friends might think I shouldn't say that, but I think when you are in a low class area, the people look at you in a different way entirely. The teachers? Yes. I don't know if you guys notice it or felt it, but they always talks about the area that you live in. And I think that's wrong. You shouldn't judge someone by, if they could live better, they would, and make a better place for their children. But it's better that you could live in an area that you could afford than you get into one and it cause problems. You might be homeless in maybe 3 months or a year. And then you have food on the table for your kids and a roof over their heads. But a lot of people, a lot of teachers, they think that because you're in, well, the Jamestown area that, but I know a lot of children that live here and they're ministers. She has a son and doctors. She have a son that get a scholarship. The children, you know, but I don't think they should judge them on that, but they does. Yeah.
runtii waxa waaye Soomaaliya ana waxaan ka ahaa macallin baan ka ahaa mas'uuliyadda waxay saarnaan jirtay macalinka inuu ardayga si wanaagsan u baro hadduu ardayga waxbarashadiisa xumaatana qalad maxay saari jiray macalinka ama isku kala saari jiray xataa waxaan qaban jirnay imtixaanaad la yiraahdo centralized exam oo loogu talagalay principal inuu soo diyaar gareeyo si uu arko macalinka baadooyinka dhigaayo inay isku si wax u dhigaa ilmaha ilaa halka markaan imaanay systemkii aan ku soo barnay Soomaaliya waa ka duwan tahay waxaan halka waxa way macalinkii mas'uulka ma saarin ilmihiba especially waxa way markuu xaafad fiican ilmihi degan yahay oo dadkii wax baranaya oo waalidkii wax yaqaan iyo markuu xaafad xun oo low income dhaqaalahooda liitaan oo dareeha difference weyn u dhaxeeyo marka macalinkii markuu xaafad fiican dadkii dhimaanaya waalid aqoon leh wax shaqaysanaya wax ka dhigaayo culays buu iska saaraya ilmihii inuu wax wanaagsan uu curriculumkii baro laakiin markuu xaafadaha qaarkood ama madow ama immigrant sharciga uu qowl uu ka faa'iideysanaya sharcigaas aqoon darrada ay u leeyihiin systemka marka waxa ilmihii wax ma la baraayo marka waalidkii oo ka saxday ilmihii macalinkii oo ka saxday ilmihii meeshaas baa waxay ka timid dhibaato weyn ilmihii inay ku dhacaan.
Many immigrant children to Canada are faced with having to negotiate their cultural identities. A cultural divide between children and parents may result in children feeling ashamed of their home culture, and parents feeling concerned with how they can successfully incorporate the school's culture without abandoning their home culture.
waxaan arkay aniga ilmaha markay yar yihiin badanaaba ma dareemayaan farqi u dhaxeeya waalidkooda iyo waalidka kale laakiin markay soo weynaadaan oo kale oo dugsi dhexe ama dugsi sare soo gaaraan badanaaba ma jeclo inuu hooyadooda ama waalidkooda oo ka duwan hooyooyinka kale iskoolka imaanaya inay imaadaan adigoo jalbaab qabo kale ama gurubtaas aniga waa dareemaa ciyaar badan oo dhahaya inuu imaanay hooya imaanay in lagu arko because ma hayno ku dhicib yahay guriga hooyadii tahay laakiin ilmaha kale oo iskoolka inta ku dhibay oo lagu tiidkareena marka taasay ka cararayaan ayaga
يا ستي ببدأ أنا هلا في علاقة بين الأهل والمدرسة اللي هو الطفل دائما بالبيت له شخصية والمدرسة له شخصية تانية بتصرف مع أستاذه إشي بتصرف مع أهله إشي تاني هذا الطفل بتلاحظ إنه كونه جاي من كلتشر أهله جايين من كلتشر تانية وجاي على مجتمع جديد فبتلاقي في صعوبة بالتفاهم بين المدرسة وبين المدرسة بين الأهل والمدرسة اللي هو بالنص بيجي الطفل بدهم أهله يكون بيمشي بطريقتهم والمدرسة بدها إياه هذا الطفل يمشي بالطريقة نفس طريقة المدرسة أو هي الكلتشر اللي بيحيط فيه من البيئة الكندية. هلا إحنا عم بنعاني مش بس المدرسة بتعاني إحنا بنعاني بدنا أولادنا يكونوا مثلنا وهذا صعب جدا لأنه عايشين بمجتمع بيختلف تماما عن المجتمع اللي يجينا منه. هلا هدول الأطفال بدنا نوصل لحل وسط بيننا وبين المدرسة فيهم. كيف؟ بدنا نقعد نتفهم الأطفال حاجاتهم الأساسية شو هي من المجتمع هذا إحنا نعطيهم إشي من عنا اللي هو راح يكون إشي بسيط لأنه كل إشي عم ياخدوه من المدرسة يجيبوا لنا إياه.
How well an immigrant family adjusts to Canada and their ease in getting involved in their child's education depends on several factors.
To Canada. But in terms of some parents being more involved than others, depends on their own level of education. For example, some of them, they've had very successful careers back home, and they are not only updating their education here, but they're also taking English classes, and they're very involved. So that way, so parents' level of education, their comfort with the culture here. So if they've had some experience, some exposure back home to different cultures, they're more comfortable learning the new language, being with different people. So that plays a role. So that definitely plays a role in terms of some parents being more comfortable than others.
You have some teachers that because of your cultural background, they just don't care. Because I've seen that. They don't really try if your child is in class, the child don't really understand, they just don't bother. And if if they know you're a single parent, they use it against the child too. Some of them.
Yeah.
So that's why the parent have to really attend those parent-teachers meetings and really take part in the child's life at school. Because if you leave it to, you have some teachers, they try their best. Because at this middle school here, I couldn't complain. But that high school there, it was a problem at one stage. So you really have to go in and talk all the time, call, to make sure everything is okay.
Yeah.
Those families who come to Canada as refugees face specific challenges that other immigrant families who voluntarily chose to leave their home countries may not face. These newcomer families are concerned that their refugee status is a factor in their relationship with their child's teacher. The teachers in this study are aware that refugee families may face additional hardships and challenges because of the circumstances that led to their arrival in Canada.
waxaan malaynayaa su-aasha aniga u qaatay kulley annaga waxaan dad waddankoodii kasoo qaxoo waddan cusub imaaday experience ahaan markaan aniga macalinka aan hortaagana macallimiinta qaarkood horta macallin oo dhan afkayaan ku wada qaban way fiican yihiin laakiin macalinka qaarkood waxaa laga yaabaa inuu yahay qof qaxooti oo waddankiisa kasoo qaxo refugee oo maaragtay waxba badan ba aan sameynayninba walow waalidku uu mar walba isku mid yahay marka haddii aan waddankayga joogi lahaa oo aan nabad qabi lahaa macalinkaas siduu ii arki lahaa macalinkaana ii maarkayo aniga markaan nafsadayda kombeer gareeyo waalidka uu u arko inuu waddanka ama degan yahay nacam uusan u arkaynin inuu qof waddankan soo nacam immigrant ahaan ku yimid xaqa uu siinayo waxaa moodaa inuu iigaga badan yahay kuwa aniga siinayo marka dabcan wayna dambaysaa taas oo kaleeto.
They're leaving their home, so that's the first loss to them, and they're coming to another place, and that's a new discovery for them. As we mentioned before, all the sacrifice that they've done, they must pay off. They need to see the light at the end of the tunnel to make the journey worthwhile. So they live in constant fear. Will I be able to make it? Did I leave for something or for nothing? And this really plays a huge role on their psychological, health, really, throughout the years. In terms of this area, of this community, the refugee feel disadvantaged. They feel they don't have papers sometimes. They feel they need social support. They need others. They're less worthy. They do not have the same status the way they had it at home. Most of them are doctors, lawyers, and engineers in this community especially. But they lose all of that. With that comes a loss of identity. Who am I? How low can I go in accepting jobs that are not meant to be mine? How low can I, go in terms of wages, life, living standards, and things like that? How does it affect us? Their morale. The morale of the parents affect us. If they're confident and positive, it makes communication much easier and smoother. If they're reluctant, scared about sharing their feelings about what's going on with them, then it makes the communication harder because they have their own issues to deal with, their own psychological turmoil to go through.
As parents become better informed about the Canadian school system and are made to feel welcome by the school, they begin to accept this new system of education. Their period of cultural adjustment reaches a level of acceptance and understanding that may have not existed before.
जी वैसे तो मतलब अच्छा ही रहा है, अच्छा ही पड़ता है असर मुसलमानों का, क्योंकि ख़ास तौर से ये जब हमारी ईद आती है, रमज़ान आते हैं, तो सेकेंडरी स्कूल में बच्चों के लिए बहुत अच्छा इंतज़ाम करते हैं वो। वहाँ पर जा नमाज वगैरह उन्होंने रखी हुई है सेकेंडरी में। बच्चे स्कार्फ वगैरह पहन कर जाती हैं और नमाज का टाइम लेते हैं वो कि आप नमाज़ पढ़ लें। इसके अलावा ये रमज़ान में ख़ास वो पार्टीज़ रखते हैं मुस्लिमों की, तो ये हमारे साथ बहुत अच्छा ताउन करते हैं हमारे साथ, हमारे मज़हब को वो समझते हैं और बहुत अच्छे नज़र से देखते हैं।
लेकिन अब ये तो चंद एक होते हैं ऐसे भी, अब यहाँ पर तो मुख्तलिफ कल्चर के मज़हब के लोग
मुख्तलिफ हैं
हैं, तो बहुत सारे ऐसे भी हैं जो मतलब मजाक भी उड़ा देते हैं.
The teacher's role in providing an atmosphere of understanding and cultural sensitivity is crucial for parents and students to feel accepted and comfortable.
For instance, in the first week of school, a couple of my kids said I had spiky hair, and a couple of them were like, "My mom's not too sure about you." But your mom hasn't met me. Yeah, but I told her you have spiky hair. She doesn't know about a teacher with spiky hair. You know, and many of my girls wear the hijab and they're all covered. And so when we came to the first set of interviews, I was very conscious of the fact that I had to kind of tone things down. And I tried to wear like a long skirt, and just so that when parents came in, they weren't in total shock. Because, and also just out of respect, because a lot of the women came in covered. And I thought that's, you know, but there's other teachers I know who are like, oh, I don't do anything different, they just have to deal with it. And I just thought, I don't know, I think as maybe because I am a parent, and I know even going in to see my kids' teachers the first time, you judge them by what they're wearing and how they talk to you. So I think it's important for us to make people feel comfortable.
The specific strategies that schools employ to make sure their students' parents are informed can help contribute to a family's cultural adjustment. Providing information to parents about the school system in Canada and a specific school's policies and procedures can help in breaking down cultural and language barriers and to bridge the communication gap.
Where we speak about all education system in Canada, we explain everything starting from the school bells, cafeteria, schedule, parents, teachers interview nights, and how to prepare the kids for meeting with their new friends. And after that, actually, we support parents and students in their everyday life. We have meetings. In any urgent situation, we are here to help them with connection with teachers and maybe with understanding in different situations which can happen in school.
They usually were sent home translated into different languages depending upon the community, or they would tell you there are 5 different translations or languages in the office. If you need one for your parents, for your classroom, come and pick up, you know, as many as you need. Nowadays you don't see that. Another element which I went and looked into it, you know, a few weeks ago, was the staff handbook or any binder in the office where you can find information about the different ethnic groups. I think if we are interested at some point and realize we have a child coming from the town community, and which I had, and a student got absent for a few days and they had their religious reasons, and I have no clue, no idea about what that religious, you know, reason may be. If we have any one handout or two, you know, in any binder somewhere where I could go and just read, all right, you know, as a brief summary, they could be absent on the following days because we know about the two Eids, you know, for Muslim people, we know about Easter and Christmas, but we really don't know about the others. So I think this is something that will also help us understand the culture. It does not have to be long. It could be one page, you know.
Just recently we had a night where we invited families from Sri Lanka to come in because we're experiencing some difficulty here in figuring out what to do with their kids, and the expectations that they had at home were different than we had here at school. We had great support from the settlement worker who spoke the language, and great turnout from the parents.
Really good turnout.
They're really concerned about their kids and the way they're seen in the city as, you know, some gang members and things like that. So they're concerned that their children are going to go the wrong way. So there's a great deal of stress on them as well, because these are young children and they're just worried about the way their culture is being seen.
Was this initiated by the parents or the settlement worker or the school?
By us,
By the school.
When you start to see a pattern, we all of a sudden we kind of went, wow, you know what? We're seeing these kinds of behaviors with this group of children. What can we be doing to support parents so that they understand that this really isn't very productive?
Yeah, we've done a couple of evening sessions called Empowering Parents.
Okay.
About the educational system. How does it work? What does it mean? And we've had them have the ability through translators, we have there or whatever, to submit questions to a panel, you know, and any questions, you know, why does a child get suspended, for example? What do they have to do? You know, what do they do that gets them suspended? You know, what does it mean to be expelled? I mean, simple things that often we take for granted that people know and understand. The you know, all of the terminology, and education is rife with jargon and terminology, and those of us in it sometimes get caught up in that jargon. And we realize that, well, you know what, to some people this sounds like a different language when you start talking about IPRCs and IEPs and all of that kind of stuff. And I mean, I have to, and I've been in it a long time, sometimes I have to think, okay, well, what does that stand for? Like, what are we talking about here? You know, is that good? Is that bad? So, I mean, I can only imagine how difficult it is for people outside of education, and especially people who English is not a first language for. So we need to provide that information to parents. We need to take the mystery and the mystique out of what this system is about.
Parents appreciate the willingness of schools and teachers to learn more about the different cultures of their students. A teacher who acknowledges their students' ethno-cultural background helps to establish a sensitive and respectful learning environment that allows individual students to feel proud of their home culture, and teaches all students to respect the linguistic, religious, and cultural diversity that exists throughout Canada.
Between the family
أنا بوافق. والمدارس are very accommodating. They are very welcoming. أنا I've tried with my other kids ورحت على المدارس many times وشرحت their مثلا needs very to the extreme. بس في دور كتير علينا احنا الأهل ما عم بيعملوه العرب، واكثر شيء المسلمين واللي ظاهر عليهم مثلا المحجبات او الملتحين، لانه بالمجتمع برا بعد سبتمبر 11 لقوا كثير احتقار من الناس وريسيزم وهيك فور ا وايل. هلا خفت كثير، انا ما لقيتها لانه مش ما واضح علي انه الباك جراوند تبعي، بس بعرف من ناس كتير بيحكوا عن كتير
مضايقات،
مش ضروري مضايقات كبيرة، بس they look down at them. ما خص المدارس فيها، was بكل السوسايتي، بس المدارس كمدارس they're very understanding، ودائما كل مرة بنمدلهم ايدنا بنلاقي تعاون منهم دائما. بس كمان هن التيتشرز they're overloaded. They have so much to do. They have so much to do. أنا طلبت من إنهم يعرفوا أكثر عن الباك جراوند تبعنا، بس I know for sure إنه there is only so much that they can do with their time. You know, it's limited time and efforts and everything. عم بحمل مسؤولية للESL department أكثر لمعرفة الحضارات والباك جراوند ويعطوا توصيات لإكسبرتس. مننا experts. We can tell you stories and recommendation as much as we know at our level.
Parents and teachers must work together to ensure that students are receiving an education that considers their diverse needs and acknowledges their diverse backgrounds. A lasting solution to bridging the gap that exists between immigrant families and schools is if both parents and teachers work together to understand one another, to learn more about the cultural factors that make each community unique.
I think as teachers we are all striving to be informed, and it is important to get to know our community, the parents in our community, and try to be as sensitive as we can towards their own needs and cultural backgrounds. It's going to take a lot of patience and a lot of tolerance and flexibility from our sides, but if we, the teachers, don't do it, we, the educators, don't do it, then who can do it? We are known, we are chosen to be teachers because of the personal qualities we all have, and I strongly believe in all the teachers.
بس بتمنى يضل الشغل مستمر، يجيبوا أكثر أهل هن عم بيعملوا their job. I like this يعني مش I like it أنا بحييه، بس كمان يضلوا يفكروا، نحن ما بنعرف شو، بس يضلوا يفكروا كيف بدهم يجيبوا أهل بعد أكتر قدم involved، لأنه لمصلحة الأولاد والبلد والأهل، لمصلحة الكل.
مزبوط.
بس أنا كمان بس
تفضلي. لا تفضلي.
أنا بس بدي أقول للتيتشرز هون رجاءً don't look down على حضارتنا، ما تشوفوا وحدة لابسة فيلو تحتقروها، اعرفوا أكتر، إحنا ناس عنا حضارة كتير ممتازة، تقدروا تعرفوا عنا إذا بتسألوا أو إذا بتفتحوا كتب،
يقرأوا
إذا بتفتحوا كتب تقدروا تعرفوا عن حضارتنا. إحنا ناس عنا قيم، مبادئ، أخلاق. إحنا ناس اللي عملوا التفجيرات هني مش مافيا، ولا إحنا خصنا فيهم. We did not vote for them. هن عملوا التفجيرات، هن مسؤولين عن أعمالهم. انتوا ببلدكم في كتير criminals، انتوا مش مسؤولين عن أعمالهم. ف don't make us and our kids pay for other people's
faults or mistakes.
بس هذا رجاء للteachers, please know more about our culture.